Hi, everybody. Welcome today. Thank you so much for being with us here today. Uh, about a week ago, we did a SpiritCast question and answer, but the channel from the group, especially talking about the things that are taking place in 2026, took a long time. So we didn't get to answer many questions. Today, we are going to hear another short channel from the group, and then it will stay in channel and be able to answer any questions that are there at that time. We do have Debbie with us again today. Debbie, hi. How are you?
Hey, good to see everybody.
Absolutely. Good. Good. Well, we'll be back with you in just a minute, but thanks for being here today. Like I said, and we'll be setting things into motion right away. We hope you have a absolutely wonderful 2026. I have to tell you a couple things very quickly that basically there is a lot that is happening. If you haven't seen the previous one we did last week, it's on YouTube. It's under the live channels, the live sessions that were there at the Espavo TV channel. You can certainly see that and take a look. We've got a lot of things that are going on in 2026. Most of them are positive. I have to tell you that. Are we in a mess here on in the world? Yes, we're in the process of change. But 2026 can be a powerful catalyst for change. And that's what they said. Now, I have to tell you, many times humans don't like change, plain and simple. So we're going to do the best we can. But part of the things that we can do is to share this stuff, to share with you what's going on and what's taking place in a lot of ways. But the larger aspect is we have great possibilities for 2026. I am very excited about it. I do know there are problems here. There's problems with governments, there's problems with money, there's problems with all sorts of things that are all over the planet. But if we hold hands, if we just share this energy and work together, we can change all of it. The other thing about this that the group talks a lot about is the fifth dimensional reality. You have to remember something. You can turn on the news and you can see that this planet is going through a lot of crazy stuff right now. We just have a president who's just told everybody that he's no longer ruled by the actual voting. In other words, he's going to stay in power no matter what happens. So we've got a big struggle going on in a lot of different ways. And yet all of that is happening in the third dimension. If we step higher into a higher frequency, into what the group calls a fifth dimensional reality, none of that affects us, especially in the same way that we are. So that's the first thing we're going to do. We're going to step up. And if we hold hands, we make it a lot easier. So welcome today. Welcome home. I'll bring Debbie in. I'm going to go into a channel here in just a moment, and then we'll bring Debbie in and we can start the process of going through some of these questions that we have. In the beginning, I'm going to start into a little channel. I don't know what the group's going to say or how much time they're going to take, but hopefully we'll keep it short because we have a lot of questions. By the way, also just a point of business, if you will, we get a lot of care from YouTube. YouTube, I know a lot of people really hate Google and think they're taking over the world, and in some ways they are, but they also give us a lot. Google, we're a nonprofit. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, which is basically the same as a church, but without the building and the walls and so forth. And Google gives us a tremendous amount of free services for being a nonprofit. So, and one of the things that you can help with, if you wish to help, besides donating, of course, is that you can simply like our channel. You can hit that like button. You can hit the subscribe button. Both of those really help us when it comes to gaining numbers and gaining respect and attention with Google. They actually give us better rates on advertising and everything else, especially as our channel grows. So thanks so much for being here. We have been growing in the last several months, and we plan on continuing. So Espavo, everybody, thank you for taking your power. With that, I'm going to go into channel. And I invite you, by the way, to go into your own meditation during this time and just find your center. Greetings, dear ones. I join you this day as observer. We have so much that we have looked at, so much that we're starting to work with on planet Earth. And we tell you there is magic upon. You are changing your world rapidly. There are many changes coming, as the Keeper has spoken last week, as we have told you about many of the aspects. If you expect all the good to come out of these changes, it will. For dear ones, you are conscious creators. We can tell you all about good and bad that is coming, but good and bad doesn't really exist in the higher frequencies of the fifth dimension. You determine what you want yourselves, and you do it by setting your energy. Now, if you're looking for validation of your creations on the news, if you're looking for it in changes around you in politics, in money, in anything of that aspect, you may or may not see it, because a lot of the changes are happening at the higher frequencies. So as you step up into that world, it becomes easier. The whole process works in a different way. We will tell you a couple of things that are taking place, just so you'll know. You may have seen difficulties with large businesses, especially in the United States, but not limited to the United States. You'll see it globally. Banks, large corporations, other things of that nature are under attack on the internet. We'll simply say that so that you understand what's taking place. The whole idea of security on the internet is changing and shifting because technology is evolving at an incredible pace. So do not concern yourself with it too much, because again, it's happening in the lower frequencies of the third dimension. Step higher, look at something higher, and realize that every challenge, especially large challenges that you have had in your life, have led you to something better. You can ask questions of anyone who's had great difficulties, maybe been disabled, maybe had challenges, maybe had physical challenges, maybe had lost all their money, all their support, whatever happened to them. And years later, you can ask them, if you had to do over again, would you change it? And they would almost always say no, because you benefit from everything that takes place if you decide that you wish to benefit. Set that energy now. There's many changes coming. Some you will perceive as negative in the beginning. Long term, the pendulum is swinging. Enjoy the journey, dear ones. And now we will be happy to take some questions. Espavo. Give it just a moment, please. The Keeper
Observer?
does not like us touching his equipment, but we did, so we had to fix something. Here you go.
Okay, we're going to start out with a few questions that were left over from last week, and then we'll go into the newer questions that have come in this week. So the first question is from David. He says, Steve, when I astral travel to heaven sometimes, I am in a scene with my mother, father, or uncles having a barbecue, and they are eating, and I wonder, if they do not have physical bodies, then how do they taste and enjoy food in heaven? They had let me taste the steak barbecue once, and it was a little chewy, but not much taste at all.
We tell you the interesting part of the whole process of that is many times you're creator beings here on earth. You know that. But you're also creator beings when you go home. You're part of a much larger aspect. So what does one create when they first go home? Well, there's no time on the other side of the veil, so you can't even say when you first go home. The reality is everything shifts. But what happens is you have these beautiful memories of being a human, and you recreate that. It's very simple. Do you have taste on the other side of the veil like you never thought? Your taste buds come alive. The one thing that we tell you that is not replicatable, we don't know if that's a word or not, but it is true, is not being able to duplicate on earth is music. The music from home. will vibrate your entire being and take you higher every time. All music that you hear on planet Earth is an attempt to recreate what you hear at home. So your senses are alive. Expect the best. Are they actually tasting? Yes. Do they have physical bodies? No, they don't need them. They may take the form as a physical body. And is it really them that's taking that form? Or is it you that is shining your light on it and creating it? Reality is it makes no difference. Enjoy the journey. Espavo.
Thank you. We now have one from Elizabeth, and she's asking, I'm very concerned about what's happening in the US right now. Can the group please address what's going on and where we're headed? I had such high hopes for a shift into higher consciousness, but now I'm wondering if 2012 was just a dream. You've touched on this
2012,
already some, but whatever you want to add.
2012 was a dream. It was a beautiful dream. It was an energy of being able to set into motion the fifth dimensional reality. Now, you have a collective vibration of humanity. And as we've mentioned many times, the collective vibration does not like change. The typical humans do not like change. So what happens when a whole energy comes in of a higher vibration? Well, those of you who were expecting it and actually helped to create it, the light workers of planet Earth, were expecting it. They felt wonderful. And of course, they were expecting everything to change overnight, which it never does. But you also had many who literally felt threatened by that energy. And that is what you are seeing now. You're seeing basically a takeover of many different aspects of lower third dimensional aspects, including politics, including money, lots of different things. We don't even need to go into most of it. But we also tell you the pendulum is swinging, is it not? Have you seen the demonstrations that are taking place in Iran? Have you seen the demonstrations that are taking place in the United States? You have many, and we encourage you to speak your voice. That is what makes a difference. Now, does it counted that way? Well, as we've mentioned before, the United States does not actually have a democracy. It never did. It's formed democracies in other countries and made sure that they didn't make the same mistake that you have. But in the United States, you do not have a democracy. You do not have the largest number of people rule or make decisions. There's all sorts of little tricky things in there that have been manipulated to bring about certain aspects. On top of all of this, you may be aware of the incredible separation that has happened on planet Earth. Now, in the United States, you have a two-party system. That has never worked. You have an aisle down the middle. You have people that clap on one side and people that boo on the other side, and vice versa all the time. It is an exercise in polarity. But polarity doesn't exist in the fifth dimension. Now you move into triality, which is totally different. And we also tell you that your systems are the last to move, including politics. Now, there's also one other aspect about this polarity and about this separation that we will tell you. We have spoken of it lightly before, but we'll put it right on the line for you. Very simply, there is technology being used that humans are not aware of. And you will become aware of it, but the first thing is you're going to be learning heart discernment. You're going to be able to tell it. The same way you can go on YouTube right now. You can look at some of your favorite people and watch them and not quite feel like it's them. It's AI. There is so much that's happening with this. Not that AI is bad, but what's taking place is people are twisting the truth so much that humans are getting used to having a plethora of misinformation everywhere. Now, what's to be gained from that? Your heart discernment. You can actually tell the difference right away. And you don't need to judge it as good or bad, right or wrong, up and down. That's third dimensional stuff. But you don't have to watch it. It's real simple. And you can start discerning that when you work with heart discernment. We'll speak more of this as we go forward because there's a lot to heart discernment. Discernment is simply the life choices without judgment in the same way, and being able to pick up on the subtle energies all around you. We will be doing classes on heart discernment coming up very quickly. So there's much to this, and there's, of course, other ways that you can work with this as well. But you must understand, people that have bought into this, they're not dumb people, they're very smart. Many people on this planet have bought into the conspiracy theories and the misinformation that was put out to move people politically. And it's happened globally. It's had a huge effect in the UK. It's had a huge effect in the United States. It's moving in different places as well. But right now, you're going to see massive shifting in the US. It may not be easy, but it's going to be putting things back on track. Now, what about all the people on the other side? Well, keep this in mind. As we mentioned, the technologies that have been used on you, all humans, have made you want to divide. They've made you want to take one side or the other. And what we clearly tell you, if you're on one side or the other, you have been divided. So look at that. Look through the eyes of your opponents. Look through what they're trying to say, not what necessarily is coming out of their mouth, but what's coming out of their heart. Again, heart discernment. There's a lot that you light workers on this planet are grounding in a very special way. You hold the blueprints for the new earth, and it's right in front of you. Espavo, dear ones.
Thank you, group, and I think all of us could use additional heart discernment these days to let us know what's real and what is not. All right, we've got a question from Paolo in Quebec. He says that we are, well, you've said many times that we are 80% physical and 20% spirit, and that we are attempting to reverse this ratio. So his question is, what action can he take daily to become this 80% spirit and even more?
There's many actions actually that you can do with this. Paolo, many things that are taking place are offering opportunities to anchor a fifth dimensional reality. That is exactly what we're talking about. There's many ways of looking at it. What part of what we just said is one of the ways to lose the division that all beings have to some degree, to start looking around, realizing you all came from the same place. You all have the same intent. You're approaching it in different ways. And as we mentioned, there is now technology which has worked in it. Technology is not bad, but under the scenes where you don't know it's happening, that is taking and had a huge effect. You have differences now that are working with it. So what are some of the practices that you can do? Well, one of them is very simply, tap into your own channels. Yes, we are here to offer advice, to offer different views to humans on planet Earth. It's kind of our job in a way. But there's so much more. And all of you have connections the same as the keeper. You may not be as practiced at it. You may not know it. You may not be comfortable with bringing it through yet. But these are the aspects. And that engages your spirit, makes it grow, and makes the physical body less dependent on all of your work. And that's what we're talking about. We hope that helps. Espavo Triad member.
Thank you. We have next a nice comment from Göksu in Turkey, and she says, first of all, happy birthday and a happy new year. And Yvonne also had sent birthday greetings. Göksu says, in my last letter, I asked you about dealing with fatigue, and you recommended me to take cold therapy. After a brief search, she saw that it wasn't accessible where she lives. But after further research, she found that people used cold showers instead. So since then, I've been taking cold showers for a couple of minutes every other day. This significantly increased my energy levels and I am feeling much better. So I appreciate the advice so much. Another thing is, in the last Light Master class, you told that you had an idea about collecting the stories of people, how people found you, and she wants to briefly tell you hers. Some 15 to 20 years ago, I started going through a spiritual awakening process. I also started realizing my psychic powers. I learned to listen to my intuition. One day, when I was feeling rather down, I was guided to a certain bookshop. When I saw Remember, one of Steve's books, I understood that I was guided to it. Although many things in the book were new to me, it felt so familiar. It felt like getting out of amnesia. Since then, teachings of the group have been crucial in my life. So thank you so much for being in my life. And you're welcome to make a comment first, Steve, and then I'll move on.
Simply, we thank you. You have been a part of the translation teams for a very long time in Turkey. To be able to translate this message for many other people, that is huge. Espavo, dear one.
All right, next up we have Karen. She said, I do hope you've had a lovely holiday. My question is about the signature tone that we each have. Is this a single note or a succession of notes or a chord or what? Anything you can tell?
Yes, interesting process because it doesn't completely translate into musical tones or the chromatic scale or the solfeggio tones or anything of that nature. What we tell you is each one of you have a vibrational range. Let us put it this way. You have a fingernail. Your fingernail has a density. We'll say that your fingernail is not vibrating as fast as some of the other parts of your body. Now you have the soft part of your finger. You have every organ in your body. All have different vibrations. There's a gentleman who discovered this in the 1920s in San Diego. His name was Royal Rife. And Mr. Rife actually found those frequencies that work for most humans. He developed a machine that would introduce those frequencies into the thing, and he was curing people right and left. The challenge came because he did not get along with the head of the AMA at the time, and he was basically put out of business. His work was confiscated, and it went underneath because it didn't make the money that it needed to make during that time. But he told us that everything had a different frequency. Now, what we tell you about that is that every one of those frequencies is in harmony. If it falls out of harmony, you fall into illness. So that's a very simple expression of how you vibrate. Now, overall, if you have harmonies, they produce an overall tone that goes out into the universal energy and actually creates your reality for you. It opens the door. What you will find is by finding that signature vibration, we call it, instead of a tone, many times you'll find the vibration in different ways. We ask you to look not only on the chromatic scale of a keyboard or a musical instrument, but also into binaural beats, one beautiful way to balance some of this energy and find what is truly happening, not just on one side of your brain, but on both. That is one way that you can work with these. Now, there's many aspects to be able to find ranges, to find different aspects. Some will feel really good. Some will actually appear to be louder than other ones. Those are the ones you're looking for. Find those tones. When you find them, you can also find music that contains those tones, which will lighten your heart. Find the music that lightens you up, and you probably are triggering some of your signature vibration. When you hit your signature vibration, it can reset all the tones in the body. Now, does that necessarily mean that that's going to cure you of all your illnesses? Not in the very beginning, but it sure will set about the process of healing and the return to a normal vibration. There's many other ways of finding this. But one of the easiest ways that you can do, because you can also bring vibration through your eyes, through your ears, through your nose, through all 5 senses, and a 6th sense, which we simply call the essence, in other words, clairescent, to be able to pick up all the energy. So there's lots of ways to do it. Find those things that excite you. If it's a piece of artwork, put it in your home. If it's a picture of your friends that just lights you up when you see it, put it in your home. Put it places where you can see it often. Play the music that you love, find the ways of experimenting with it, and step forward and enjoy the ride. Espavo.
Thanks very much. I'm still playing around with the tones to see which is loudest. So that's and there's a website that you can do that playing around that Steve shared with us before. Okay, next up is KNS from Hawaii. I am having trouble navigating a certain contract. Hold on. Okay. A certain contract and deciding if it is best to walk away and remove myself from it. The project we are all a part of is such a dream, and so much time and hard work has been dedicated to building and creating this permaculture farm in Hawaii. However, it is becoming apparent that a lot of aspects of our personalities are just not cohesive or harmonious anymore, and there are just never-ending communication issues. I try my best to see the light in these people that are the owners, but our worldviews are separating quite a bit, as they are very deep in fear and conspiracy theories that place them in a perpetual victimhood that has so many consequences in their decision-making. I feel like my partner and I would be letting people down if we let go of this dream, but my intuition says that things are simply not going to change, and it's just going to get worse. Do we take what we have learned to start over somewhere else, or is this just a part of our larger contract to grow and move forward with this project? So, any advice?
The truth is that all of this is happening in many different areas. This is part of the separation that we have spoken about. It is no coincidence that when you have the truth and you post the truth on your social media or any public place, it travels. People pick it up, people see it, people incorporate it. But when you travel fancy lies, which you call conspiracy theories, they travel 7 times farther, 7 times faster on the internet than does the truth. Many people have found this to be quite profitable, including some of your professional news stations in different countries throughout the world. The reality is this is being controlled by many people. Now, we talked about the technology that's being used on you that you know nothing about. There's no secret to this. You've had indications of this before. You've seen what happened in the UK when they seceded from the European Union. You've seen different things that happened. You've had a company called Cambridge Analytica that had technology. Where did that technology go? It went underground, and it has grown substantially. There are ways of manipulating large groups of people in different countries. It is up for sale in many different places. So the idea is to not fall into it. The first thing you can do personally is to express the problem you have. Don't try to call them good or bad. Say, you seem to be on a different view of seeing the world than I do. And this is causing problems with my heart energy involved in this project. It does not take away from the project, dear ones, because that energy has landed on Earth. You're not the only ones that have it. There's other people starting the similar projects in different parts of the world. And even if you step out of that, you're probably going to find other places to get involved in something like that or something similar, or some place where your heart can have a grounding. So don't think that you're giving up. But if you have challenges, you will find that the effort involved in trying to communicate sometimes simply doesn't work. Take a step back, forgive yourself, forgive them, try to find common ground. And if you cannot, it may be best to step away. It's real simple. There's nothing wrong with that, and there's no failure in that. So please understand that. This has happened in many different places. Conspiracy theories that you've had here in the United States. There are very intelligent people that have bought into these. There are many people on the Supreme Court who, in the Supreme Court, and their wives have all bought into some of these conspiracy theories. So don't judge them for doing that, please. Just know they've fallen into a trap and, quite honestly, have been hooked. So don't call them, don't try to change them. Simply step back and say, this is not for me at this time in the way that it's working. Thank you for your opportunity, and I'm moving on. And you will be supported in ways that you didn't know. Thank you for asking.
Good advice. In the chat, several people are sharing their favorite music, and goes from heavy metal to classical. So your signature
all of it works.
tone is whatever works. Okay, so we have a couple questions from, it's TE. I'm not sure what that stands for. First question. TE. I had asked you for guidance in finding my passion. You told me that you were a channel for me and that I should share the information I received from you through books and various written materials. I decided some time ago to start sharing information about numerology and spirituality on social media. However, I encountered some obstacles when I opened my first account, so closed it, then opened a second one. More obstacles. These led me to believe that maybe sharing information wasn't really my passion. So my question is, if sharing information is about pursuing my passion, why did I encounter obstacles? Was it not the right time, or was I simply not ready? If I create a new account and start sharing again, will I be successful this time, or what approach should I take?
You're sharing the information is right. The time is right. The place is not right. It's very simple. As we've mentioned many times, social media has changed your world very quickly. It has also been taken over in many ways. You can find so many things on there, and we suggest all of you look for reliable news sources that do not try to move you with anger, with frustration. That is where many of the challenges come. They hook you through your emotions. But now, social media, especially YouTube, Facebook, everything else, is carrying news, and people are getting their news from these sources. We'll tell you that almost a third of it is AI, and much of it is actually good information, but someone who has copied it over and put an avatar up there to start getting as many hits on their program as they can, because it can turn into revenue for them. So please be aware. There's a lot of motivations, but choose where you get your news very carefully. That may help a little bit. Now, you're on the other side. You're putting out news. You're putting out information. Social media is one place. And yet, that's going to take time to find that. Will you find challenges with it? Yes, there are times. The keeper has had massive challenges. He's had his Facebook closed 2 or 3 times. So the reality is he doesn't go there much. He puts things up, but he doesn't actually spend a lot of time in many of the social medias other than YouTube. So we found a family here. We want to grow that family. Is it possible that he may have trouble with some of these? Yes. He has trouble with the music that he uses at YouTube all the time, even though he purchased it. So there's going to be difficulties in different areas for everyone. Just find a new space. The reality is much of what you have can be written in a more traditional form. The most important part is not how it goes out, but grounding it in the first place. So we ask you to start channeling, start bringing it through, write it down. That's the first level of grounding. You have different levels of grounding. You have receiving the information, you have writing it down, you have sharing that writing with someone else, you have putting it up in a place, a public place. So there's many different ways. We tell you your message is good. We tell you your channel is very clear. We just find you in the wrong space at the wrong time. Use those indications to simply say, this is not for me at this moment. That's discernment. And that's the idea. Find the places that will support you, step forward, and enjoy the ride. Espavo.
Moving on to question number 2 from TE, and this goes in a different direction. I have been afraid of somehow contacting and being harmed by low-frequency physical entities for almost my entire life. And when I started to turn to the spiritual realm, I realized that I am also afraid of doing spiritual meditations because I thought that I might come into contact with disembodied entities and be harmed during those meditations. I believe the reason for this fear is that in past lives, I may have had contact with and been harmed by low-frequency disembodied entities. My question is what I'm thinking correct? If so, does it have anything to do with having channeled and been a spiritual leader in a past life? In other words, could my ego have led me astray in other areas while channeling? And is it because of these fears that I can only receive channeling in this life through books and other written sources? What advice would you give me to help me overcome my fears? I intend to receive the information and guidance you provide in the best way possible and use it in my life.
We're going to tell you something that may or may not land. It's very simple. In the fifth dimension, in the higher realms, and at home on the other side of the veil, negativity doesn't exist. And as you raise higher, lower frequencies don't exist. It's not that they disappear. It's that you bring the highest frequency out of everything. So it's a different aspect than the duality that you live in the third dimension. As you move into a higher frequency, we call it triality, where you are starting to see things differently in a different way. We have done seminars on triality itself, what it is, how to incorporate it, how to bring it in. There are people that have used this in many ways, including Nikola Tesla, who basically built his whole life on 3, 6, and 9. Perfect. The reality is there's many of this aspect that you can use. Now, the part that's confusing. I'll tell you a quick story. When the keeper, this man, was first starting his work, he had a helper, he had an assistant, he had a counselor. He loved her. She gave him so much information. And one day she said, Steve, I think you're going to be famous one day, and you're going to be on stage bringing your energy in and bringing through the group, which I had just started channeling at that time. And she gave him something. She gave him a stone. It was a piece of hematite, a little small stone. And she said, keep this in your pocket when you're channeling, and all the negative energy from all the other people who want to either bring you down or are envious of you will go into that, and you won't have to worry about it. And he thought it was wonderful. This is great. I have more confidence now. And he loved the hematite, big, heavy stone, very masculine stone. He put it in his pocket. He walked out the door, and we asked him to lose that stone as quickly as he could. Why? Because it fostered a belief in negative energy. The reality is, negative energy is not always there. Now, what about ghosts? What about residual energy stamps which are left on planet Earth? Well, you can't go home with negative energy, so it must be left behind. You do have negative energy that you will see from time to time. Can you bring that into your channel? Only if you believe in it. That's hard. And it doesn't mean that even speaking this will get you not to believe in it. But we tell you, step forward, step into the fear, Know that you have a light that is much brighter than the darkness around you, and that you will create something very magical if you do. Step forward. The reality is we need your work now. That's why you've been given the work. That's why you've been given the energy. Step forward and enjoy this journey. Move past the fear and know that darkness is always an illusion. And even in your own physics on planet Earth, you can always see darkness cannot hide from the light. Step forward, brighten your eyes, and enjoy the journey. Back to you, Debbie.
All right. Next up is from Sue. We're getting quite a variety of questions today. So you've spoken previously about the ocean currents and the Gulf Stream and how they will impact us. I wanted to ask you about geoengineering technologies, which I understand are being considered globally, especially those intended to reflect sunlight away from the Earth. I don't know if these technologies are being tried out in the UK, but we seem to have been bombarded with aircraft activity at the moment. It's happening almost every day. It feels relentless and it seems different to what we normally see. The aircraft move systematically and repeatedly across the sky in a pattern of parallel lines and perpendicular lines. They leave contrails across the sky which persist for many hours. These gradually spread out to form dense cloud cover blocking the sun. The cloud cover stays there all day, and there is often thick cloud cover the next day too. We lose our beautiful blue skies and sunshine. Would you be able to comment on this, please, and how geoengineering may affect the Earth if it reflects sunlight away from the Earth?
Geoengineering itself is a rather large aspect which contains a lot of wonderful possibilities and some negative ones as well. The negative aspect of the one you're speaking of is that you have to live in the clouds for a bit. You have to live without the lack of direct sunlight. What they are trying to do is fairly simple. As planet Earth evolves, as you go through these changes, you have less white on the Earth. There's less snow. You see the polar caps melting. That is huge. White reflects the sunlight. Black and dark energies absorb the sunlight. And that's what they're trying to do. If you've ever run barefoot across a road, especially an asphalt black road, you run like crazy on that black because it's hot, and you try to put your feet on the white lines going down the middle because they're not hot. That is exactly what's happening. That's what they're trying to accomplish with this. Is it going to work? The story's still out. The reality is it may partially work. They'll also find that there are other negative aspects of what they're doing, which probably will outweigh the benefits that are there. But they have to find that out on their own. They are trying geoengineering in many different ways. Now, we talked about the currents. The currents have not been changed by humans. They were changed by your parental races. They're quite concerned about what humans have done to planet Earth. Planet Earth is a sentient living being. You just can't speak to her because you're in different frequencies. You can listen to her, and many people are talented enough to do that. But the reality is that it's very challenging. So, as planet Earth screams for help, it is often heard by some of your, what you call ETs. We call them EDs because they're basically extra dimensional. They live right next to you, but you don't know it. And all of a sudden they change dimensions and show up in your world. And they violate your physics and everything else because they know how to go back and forth. You will learn this. In fact, we're even going to be talking about the orthogonal matrix of how this is done to plant seeds. It's a little early for humans to be able to do this. But you will be taught, you will learn how to actually shift dimensions. A lot of this is coming in the future. Now, the actual currents. The currents are what spread all the temperatures to all the oceans of planet Earth. And they have been stuck. You've had so much change that the currents have not been working the way they were. This caused great danger to planet Earth in the long run. That's why your ETs and your parental races have been working on this for some time. They have now found a level of success. It is moving again the way it is supposed to. That's what we spoke of. That is not geoengineering on your part. It's geoengineering on their part. And it works. You can work in harmony with planet Earth. You'll learn in the near future how to not rely on oil, how to not pollute the planet in the ways that you've been doing that. You're aware of all these things, and you're moving in the right direction. Keep your focus on that. Keep moving. Espavo.
Thank you. We have a question from Christine. She says that you did a reading for her a couple of weeks ago. She lives in Mexico now. I talked about some mystical experiences and also my desire to channel and be a psychic to help people. I started sitting down and trying to channel my beings of light in the mornings. I ask questions and write down the answers. When I read them a few days later, they sound wiser than I am.
Yes.
Does this sound about right for learning? Thanks.
This is perfect. That's all we need to say about it. Yes, that is what happens. You don't always feel it because in the beginning, as you are speaking it, as you're bringing it through, it feels like you. In fact, it will feel like you're making it up. Please continue. That's the idea. Yes, when you read it later, you'll go, where did this come from? You'll understand. But generally, most people feel like they're making it up. They go, I'm making this up. This isn't from spirit. I'm just pretending, and they put it away. Keep up the work. Back to you.
All right. This note is more to inform people than a real question, but Steve had said that if you want more information, he'd be happy to share the links more in the email. But he says, here are some things, this is Emil, here are some things that I think are going to change the world as we know it in computing. China has an analog chip 1,000 times faster than NVIDIA chip, and in some cases uses 100 times less energy. It was made on a 40 nanometer scale, so there's room for improvement. It's a proof of concept in a Chinese lab. And then another area has to do with memristors. I don't know how to pronounce that one. This is an old concept that can be used in these chips. It's an analog resistor that's programmable. And he has another link on that. And then he also talks about we have to program hardware for some tasks, and this goes much faster and with less energy consumption. Combine this with field programmable gate arrays, and you can simulate other hardware on this. So my apologies for all the mispronunciations, but it sounds like Emil is a very, very knowledgeable guy.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Let us speak to the larger aspect of all of it. We will not address each one of these because they go into deep technologies, but the technologies on your planet are exploding. As we've mentioned, you may remember the days, if you're old enough, before computers. You may remember the days before cell phones. All of this changed your world overnight. Guess what's ahead? At least 100 times that much change. And it's going to happen very fast. Are there going to be people who use it for nefarious purposes? Yes, of course. You're on planet Earth. There will be people who try to abuse this. And eventually, it doesn't make any difference. Many of the things that serve you today were actually created as war toys and war energies. And here you are using them for positive purposes. So don't judge them all from how they come in or how they're first used, but you're going to have massive changes. Now, what does that mean? Well, right now you're in the AI bubble. There is a lot of joy about it because it really has a lot that it can bring you. There's a tremendous amount of fear about it taking over and basically erasing humans from Earth because they're no longer needed. That will not happen. So let's get real about it. It is technology. Is it problematic? Yes, you're going to run across problems. Yes, you're going to have difficulties with some of these. But the explosion of understanding is going to be very helpful. Right now, artificial intelligence is taking more energy from you than it is giving you. The reality is that of all energy on Earth, all electricity that is produced on Earth, your data centers are taking about a third of it, which is non-sustainable. You can't continue in that way. Most people are aware of this, but it's also changing very quickly. That will not continue to happen. Right now, part of the challenge is that you build these little computers and then you have to hook them all up. Well, just the copper wire that you hook them up is tremendously resistant and causing slowdowns and challenges and heat. You use the electricity to create heat instead of create what you want. Meta, the large company in the United States, is actually building a new data center, which is huge, which is one computer. These changes are coming. Will that work? There's even other things that are much farther beyond that are in process and being developed right now. Your own technology chips. You've been basically one layer of things. They are starting to be layered. You're going to be using gallium nitride in order to do different things, but you're laying logic layers on top of each other, which is going to reduce the heat, reduce the resistance, and make your whole process much more sustainable. That is coming right now. It's already in motion. It has not made its way into the full market or even into the data centers, many of which are being built with the old technology because the AI is so popular right now. Everybody's coming up with their own avatars and all the rest of the stuff that is there for you to play with. But understand, humanity will right itself every single time. Enjoy the journey. Espavo.
Lots to look forward to, it sounds like. Okay, we have a shorter question, but could be very involved. This is from Sean in Korea, one of our other translators. And his question is, what is Korea and Koreans' role for spirituality in the future?
Korea has been somewhat on the sideline for a very long time. It is changing pretty rapidly. It began with the music revolution coming from Korea. You call it K-pop. That is only a part of it, but it has brought an awareness of Korean energy to the world. Korea has been wonderful, especially with technology, especially with working with other countries. Considering that North Korea is part of Korea and yet different, quite different than South Korea, of which you are talking about and where you live. The reality is you're playing a huge role. The role is going to be about balance. And as humanity goes forward, as society goes forward, you'll be playing a much larger role than you possibly imagined. And that is sorely needed. Keep up the great work. Espavo.
Thank you, and I'm sure Sean thanks you very much. This one is from Milena. She says, I had breast cancer and the lesson of my soul is creation. I discovered my lesson with Irina Kolyasova on family
Constellation.
consultation, I think. She says,
Family
I don't
constellations. It is actually a modality, yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. I don't have much money right now, but I feel I can earn a lot. I'm a psychologist, love fitness and dance, and family constellation. I'll just say that again. Can you tell me what should be my focus now after my illness when it comes to money, etc.
Yes, simply you have a story to tell. Whether this story ends up being about your healing, about the process that you're going through, or the negativity that you've experienced, because it is shared by many. We'll also tell you that cancer itself has a much deeper meaning than anyone has looked at. Humanity will learn to look at this differently and understand it. Will that mean that it is cured? Not in the immediate future. However, you will find wonderful techniques with your technology to be able to diagnose it much, much faster than ever before. Right now, there's even dogs that can sense cancer in a person way before it shows up in your technologies. All of these things can happen very quickly and will help. Now, what is your focus? You have a story to tell. You're a storyteller. Now, what's the story about is your next question. That's up to you. The idea is to start telling the story. If it ends up being a fiction story, perfect. If it ends up being a children's story, perfect. If it ends up being a religious story, perfect. It doesn't make any difference. Speak it, release what you have been holding inside and sometimes afraid to speak, and everything starts shifting. And the cancer itself. Obviously, you have things that you must go through to do it. Share all of it. Share the pain. Share the difficulty. Share the hard decisions that you have to make at this point. You're not alone on this earth, and when you show your vulnerability, you become incredibly strong, and you help others. So that is one of the aspects. Don't wait until you get to the other side to start the work. Start it now. Now, many times this will lead to actually creating an income for you, as you call it. The money that everyone needs to play the game of pretending to be a human. And sometimes it won't. It doesn't make any difference. Because if you start in the direction of your spirit, the money will come. Whether it comes directly back from that work or whether it just happens to magically appear from different places, that will happen. And that's why we tell you the easiest way you can do, anyone can do to make money is to move into their passion and start thinking about money differently. What if money was just there for you to play with? What if it was just there for you to enjoy life? Think about it. Lots of possibilities ahead. Espavo, dear ones, we are sending love your way and healing energy. Espavo.
Inspirational. All right, this one is from Florence. Thank you for this opportunity to receive clear answers to long burning questions. So here's mine. For a long time, I've been pulled in what feels like 1,000 different directions. I know that some of it might have to do with the experiences of one or several parallel incarnations. I feel like I want another child, but I'm also scared of lots of aspects of it. I've been thinking about studying interior design, but I also feel very drawn to becoming a doula. I've always wanted to be a singer, but never had the opportunity. I know there's no right or wrong path, but I'm finding it hard to know which impulses are soul-led and which are coming from my head or my human desires. Can you provide some insight what this is all about and in which direction my soul actually wants to explore?
The biggest challenge about this is you believe there's only one direction. There are many. Now, you will choose your direction. You're on the planet of free choice. Your spirit wants you to express. If you express as singing, it will heal the world. If you express as writing, it will heal the world. If you express in different ways, you will have return, you will see it, you will work with it. Now, the other aspect of this is why can't you sing for fun? Why do you have to wait for the opportunity or the perfect opening? Now, yes, most people that have made money and become recording artists have had that big break, they call it, that opportunity. But you can't engineer that. That has to happen from spirit in a different way. So what we ask you to do is sing, write, do all the different aspects that you just talked about, all the different things. And there's more coming, which may be confusing at first, but if you dabble into a little bit of each one will open up a little bit more than the other. It doesn't mean that you're going to abandon the others. You need all of it. Your spirit's here dancing on planet Earth in this beautiful body. Play with it. Teach it whenever possible. And above all, laugh as often as you can. It is the language of angels. Espavo.
Thank you. We now have a question from Carrion about reverse aging. She said, babies are occasionally born all over the world with complex illnesses caused by DNA imperfections. Will this continue, or will babies now or later be born with the original DNA in the fifth dimension? So thank you for the fantastic courses and activations.
Thank you. There are many aspects of this, and of course, what is happening is many times people come in with what you would call defects, but you must understand, perfection is not allowed on planet Earth. You divide your perfection up in the 11 dimensions that you exist in, because all of you are imperfect in some way. Now, you'll all reach for perfection, but to be able to be born with that, and sometimes a being on the other side of the veil will actually choose to come in. You've seen a big wave of this that has come in with higher vibration and actually higher thinking, but social skills, difficulties. You call it autism. It's a wave of new energy. It's a different process than you are perceiving it at. It is not an illness. So much of this is decided on the other side of the veil. So what you do, if you see someone coming in, or you have a child that is born with a defect, as you call it, yes, it's great to identify that. It's great to use your technologies and your medical expertise to identify it so that you know what this is and you know how these things work. However, don't think of it as something wrong. If you look at this as someone who's going through something, and you're going to be of assistance as much as you can, and love them. The reality is there are beings that come in with just the expression of love. There's so much of that. There's so many different ways, and you can call it a defect if you want. The new way of bringing this through is amazing. So you have much of this coming in different ways and different aspects. Play with it, dance and laugh, and know that there's nothing wrong in these ways, and especially beings that are born. Now, you are learning different things. You are learning that to give a pregnant mother certain aspects or certain drugs will have an effect. But the being on the other side of the veil decided to take that so that humans would understand that, would discover all these things. There's ways of looking at this that are very empowering. Find those ways. Espavo, dear ones.
Thank you. This one is from Mike. In November, the Lightmaster class group did a visualization where we may be leaving the planet on ships due to flooding and other events. Do they have a potential date? And can you go on a map from Europe to Asia? Where is the bad place to be? And where is safer, if it's easier?
The story that we told during the Lightmaster classes, and the Lightmaster classes are the most advanced classes that we give at the Keeper's website. But what we gave was the idea of what this would look like and what it would be like. And the reality is those people that would be leaving that, you would think that would be so sad, but they were excited. They were excited for change, massive change of all of humanity, and leading the way. You could not have stopped them from going. We also told the stories of when these things had happened before in Lemuria and Atlantis. And there is much that was learned from that, even today, even though you don't have physical proof that Atlantis or Lemuria even existed. Oh, yes, we know. You have the Bimini Trail. You have different aspects that you think are that. But we tell you, it's slightly in a different dimension anyway, part of your reality in a world you can't see yet. But the truth of this all is that there were things that are learned. So even though humanity went through a different process, you still tell stories of Atlantis today. You still have the wisdom that was passed down in all those ways. So those were the stories that were told during then. The reality is there's no date that's going to happen. This is taking place in a different way. And what you have are the opportunities to step into a higher vibrational state right now. Now, the other aspect is, are there good places on Earth and are there negative places on Earth for evolution, for the process of evolving humanity? Well, yes, there are. And what we tell you is some of the greatest places where everyone can make a difference is in the more dense places. You may go someplace where they simply do not understand what you're talking about. You may feel like everything you're saying is not being heard. You may be very frustrated, but you're planting seeds. And we tell you, you can plant seeds in very fertile ground in density. You may not see it sprout. You may not see it grow. You may not see it go to fruition. But the seeds are the important part. And that's why many people are planted here on planet Earth. Well done, Dr. Mike Espavo, dear one.
Thank you. Didn't realize it was Dr. Mike. Anyway, the next question comes from Mags in the Netherlands. A question about my youngest son. Reading the latest beacons from Elra, I finally understand my youngest son. He is living in the fifth dimension, choosing joy every time. What a gift. Except he does not take on the challenges that come with life as a 13-year-old. He is definitely denying them. He refuses to learn for tests. He refuses to do his homework. And at home, he makes doing his chores into an everlasting issue. Of course, this is also a part of puberty, but I feel there is something more. Could you give us some clarity and insight on how to help him grow into understanding how to dance with life's challenges within the fifth dimension?
Excellent question. And we also tell you that the fifth dimension is not a place where you will go and stay. Many of you will evolve higher into higher frequencies at different times, but you also will have third dimensional realities. You have children, sometimes you will have to deal with their teachers. Sometimes you will have to take them to other things. Some of you have jobs that support your family. Those are third dimensional realities. The more that you can work in the fifth dimension, even though you have to come down to the third to do some of these things, that is the answer of today. That is what you're doing. And as far as your son, we'll take you a little further down the road. Yes, he has what you would call challenges with taking on responsibilities. He wants to play. It's real simple. But he has a message that will teach the world. He has to go through quite a bit to get there. Right now, when he is about 33 years old, he will make you incredibly proud of the work that he will leave, which you are partly, and your husband, are partly infusing in him right now. He's listening to every word you say, disagreeing with some, but listening. The reality is, he's a great teacher. He simply has to find the aspects of it. And right now, he just wants to play. If you're able to turn some of those chores into play, he'll hook right in. That's the only suggestion we're going to have for you. Yes, this aspect of his life may be difficult for you because he may not fit in, but he's a great being. Watch, expect the best. Let him go. Let him make his choices. And watch how he learns and then turns around and teaches the rest of the world. Espavo.
Fantastic. Only 20 years to wait. Okay, we have another question from Carrion, and this is a personal question following the meeting in the Netherlands last month. Nunspeet, I can't pronounce that one right. There's something I can't quite let go of, so now I ask you. During your last story, it was dark in the room and you were wearing a hat, just like today, and I was wearing my new glasses, which I still have to get used to. I didn't see your face, but someone else's, a man much younger, with rather large glasses, or so it sometimes seemed. Was this my imagination, simply not being able to see well, the shadows of the light, or did I actually see someone else using your face to reveal themselves? Whatever the answer, it's fine. I just want to better understand myself, hence the question. Or maybe
Sure.
there is no answer.
The simple aspect of this is the keeper did not change. Someone was not using his body other than us, and we do not take over his body. Please understand that. He's a translator for us. We sit behind him, we bring things in. He has to find the English words to come up with these aspects that are there. And we have worked with the keeper many, many lifetimes. So we're glad he finally awoke because he did not awaken until his mid-40s. The reality is all of this has started to work in a different way. Now, to bring this through, please, can you bring back part of the question? There's a piece we are missing here. What was the last
Okay,
part of
let's
that
see.
question?
She was somehow seeing a different face
Right.
when she would look at you. She didn't know if it was her glasses or a shadow, or was this somehow a revelation that she should pass on?
In the Lightmaster groups, every week that we get together, we do perception exercises. The perception exercises are meant for a lot of different reasons, but basically they are exercises where we show you a video or we show you a picture or something of that nature, many times optical illusions, and we ask you to change it. That is what was happening. You literally could start seeing other things. The more that this happens, it's not the keeper that was doing it. It is not us that is using his body to do it. It's you. You are projecting out things that you need to see. This was one that simply validated that there were things happening. Were your glasses a part of it? Probably. So what? There's all kinds of things that can happen. We find it interesting that he had big glasses because the keeper wears big glasses. So the reality is, yes, you have different aspects of it. You may have also been seeing our shadows because there are 8 of us and 1 of him, which is why we call it the group of 9. Welcome home. Glad you were here. Espavo.
Okay, we are out of the questions that came in ahead of time, but we've got a lot in the chat. Do we want to continue on with them?
Absolutely. We do apologize. Balancing this energy is difficult to do, but we're going to try and get as many questions as we can. So please, by all means, and we will come back like we did last time and only take questions at one point in the chat room. The reality is the keeper has this set up to do every month. We're going to push him to do it every 2 weeks. Go ahead.
Okay, going to chat. We have a question from Nicole, and she said she has been doing the channeling exercises. We just had a class about that and seemed to not fully receive all of the information being shared with me from the other side. It feels like only a little trickle is coming through.
Perfect. The trickle is what starts. Now, what do you do with it? You're expecting things that you can use to heal, things that you can use to change the earth, things that you can do to share with other people. But the trickle is there to give you the confidence that it's there. Now, please understand, like a question we asked earlier about being able to bring it through, not thinking you had anything, and then finding out later you did, that you actually had something that was beyond your own knowledge. That takes the trickle to a different level. And the more that you work with this, just like anything, you're going to learn to play the piano. We equate that to channeling. When you sit down to play the piano, if you've never played before and you have no musical abilities, you're going to hit a lot of wrong notes. Now, your neighbors may not appreciate it, and those people that live in your house may not appreciate it, but you have to hit those wrong notes to find the right ones. You don't improve until you just allow yourself to hit the wrong notes and figure it out. That is the trickle that's coming through right now. Do not judge it as not being complete. You're working. You have a trickle. That's more than most people have. Work with it. Increase it. Ground it. Bring it down. Write it out. If you dare, share it with somebody. You don't have to say, this is my new message that's going to save the world. You can say, I got this the other day. Take a look at this. Tell me what you think. You can do this in different ways. And that's what we ask. The trickle is a great job. Good job, Nicole. Espavo.
Thank you. I'm ready for a trickle. So, this is from LEZ. I see my deceased relatives and friends frequently in my dreams. They often look good, happy, and healthy. Sometimes, though, they look like they are still recovering. Is that so?
You will find that spirits on the other side will take forms. Most of the time, they will take forms that sometimes they believe. You'll even see them in a physical body when you look at them when you first cross over. Is it them that's taking that form, or is it you that's expecting that form to be there? Both. It can happen both ways. The truth is that you have an ego that you've had to deal with here on planet Earth. The ego is a good thing because it gives you a perception of yourself that you wouldn't have in other ways. But it doesn't really exist at home. It's only for planet Earth, for the spirit to be able to see yourself and improve, to evolve in a different way. Now, when you go home, when you see different things, they will take different aspects. Is there healing that is needed on the other side of the veil? No, not at all. Spirits are perfect. Your spirit is perfect. You can't see that because you hide your perfection in one or more of the 11 dimensions that you exist in. As we mentioned, perfection is simply not allowed on planet Earth. Why you hit that crystal that we call the higher self, it divides you into these beautiful colors, and you have multiple experiences with the same soul. Perfect. When you go home, you may actually remember some of those things. What you are assuming is that if you saw someone on the other side that looked like they were negative or having in pain or anything else, they're probably remembering the joy that they felt in that, because joy can be felt in everything on planet Earth if you work at it. The reality is many lessons can be gained, many evolutions can be taken through illness of different aspects. And there are many times on the other side of the veil that you relive your experiences. You may have just seen that. Bless them. Thank them for going through it. Espavo.
Okay, similar to an earlier question about a country, we have one from Marta Mentora, wondering what is Brazil's role in this new world of 2026 and beyond?
Brazil is a base in South America that is huge for love. It's real simple. It was built in a different level of energy. The reality is that much of our work is accepted well in Brazil, even though it's not fairly well known. Other teachers that come with channels and so forth can ground in that area. The keeper and his wife have only been to São Paulo once and found just the incredible open hearts that are there. You don't see that when you live in a place because it's part of your norm. but there are places that have just open hearts. Brazil is an open heart of the planet. It's not just Brazil, but Brazil is one of the most important pieces of this. Now, you're going to have political problems. Guess what? Everybody does. The reality is those things are going to shift from time to time. But you're in a good spot. Keep it up, Marta. Espavo.
Okay, countries must, or continents must be on people's minds today. The next one is from Nicole, and she asked, can you tell me what is really going on in Africa? The shift that is happening right now and future opportunities.
Africa is exploding on many different levels. The evolution in Africa is happening on many levels. Africa had difficulties in being able to promote its own teachings. The substructures that are beneath it all had challenges from time to time. But it is now awakening from the dream in a very big way. As a result, you have different countries that are doing their best to get over there and try to take over, try to be in charge, try to offer assistance and everything else. You have China, you have Russia, you have the United States, you have all these different countries that are looking at Africa as the next big empowerment place of planet Earth. That is what we see as well. It is very exciting. The main piece of this is to hold your own. Take what is given, take what is there to assist, but hold your own. Don't give your power away to anyone. That is the nature of the word Espavo. Came from a story we told about Lemuria back in 1998. It came from there, very simply. It was a greeting that was used for hello and goodbye in Lemuria. The greeting was Espavo. Literally translated, it means thank you for holding your own power. Espavo.
All right, now this is a very personal question. Janelle H. or Janella, can you share with us who the observer is?
We can tell you that we have many beings on this side of the veil that come, go, that answer. We're part of everything. We're all connected in different ways. The aspect we use is often the hand. Each one of these fingers has a different personality, has a different history, has a different experience, but they're all part of the same. Do they know it? Well, humans don't. You don't see the connection, but you're all connected. You're connected through something called the universal energy. In your religions, in your spirituality, you've called that the Akash or the Akasha. In your science worlds, you call it dark energy. We call it universal energy. It connects everyone. You're part of everything. If you act accordingly, you have an effect on everything. But that's difficult because you're burdened with an ego. You think you're separate from everything. And that grasp of that reality is very difficult for most people. But you're doing well. And if you step forward into the little bit of a higher vibration with all of it, you're going to find some fascinating things opening up for each and every one of you. I hope that answers your question. Espavo.
I think maybe she wants to know about observer versus maybe Ilra and Merlia, and so I think
we can say that they are different personalities in different ways. You can say that the scientist of the heart usually comes in to speak about scientific things or things that would work on that level. You can say that Ilra is going to come in and tickle your funny bone because he knows your aspects. You can say that the keeper of time is doing different aspects. The observer, who I am this day, is literally seeing the large picture. That's what you ask in these aspects of questions and answers. We work with the large picture. To observe is not easy because as you send out these rays from your eyes to perceive something, you create it. So it's difficult to really see what is taking place. To be an observer is actually a class that we will be giving coming up as part of a 3-month series coming up very soon. We'll share with you that it will start in February, but it's not ready for production yet. It's just being made now. But one of the aspects we're going to be doing there is from the observer on how to observe, how to see things without judgment. Not easy, but it works beautifully. So we hope that gives you a little bit of an aspect of it. It's difficult because even though each one of us, what the keeper calls the group, have different personalities, you have no idea how varied personalities are on this side of the veil. We find it absolutely you've ever watched Star Wars and they've gone into the bar at Star Wars and they have all these different types of beings. You have no idea how truth there is to all of that. There's more coming on this. Basically, we have different aspects of different channels from home. It's the easiest way to describe it. And yet we're all part of each other and we know it. Espavo.
Great. This is from Mark, and he says I have had tinnitus ringing in the ears for the last 6 years. It came on suddenly and is constant. Can you please tell me if there is anything I can do to cure this? Thank you.
There are, again, technologies that are coming to work with many of these medical and challenging aspects that have burdened humanity for a very long time. This is one of them. If you look to do your own research on this, there are so many things, most of which don't actually work for the majority of people. They may work for one or two, but they don't seem to work in the large aspects. The only thing to do at this point is to try and turn this noise, this chaos, into something positive. It's not easy to do. It distracts your attention. It takes your energy. The whole aspect is very difficult to focus on. We are aware of that. And the other aspect of this is there are very few doctors that even have aspects of what this is, much less how to deal with it. So take charge of this yourself. The first thing to do, because we tell you it will subside over periods of time, not drop off like it came very quickly. That's not going to happen. We can tell you that it was probably caused by most of the times by an allergy. Now, finding that which you are allergic to is very challenging and doesn't always stop the allergic reaction that has started. But what we can tell you about it is that if you take this energy and you close your eyes and you can't shut off the hearing, try to listen to what it's saying. Try to listen if there's anything that you can grasp from that. And as you do that, you'll come through with little small pieces. You see, we speak to the keeper through a brainwave pattern of 40 to 100 hertz. In your technologies, you call it gamma. You call it the gamma brainwave patterns. Gamma brainwave patterns have always been considered to be junk. The junk scattered, the junk room of your brain, if you will. They've not understood what it is. But when people learn to listen, they get a different process. Now, he doesn't have to be burdened with all the stuff going on in your ears. And of course, it's not actually going on in your ears. It's going on in the brain. That's where the challenge is. It's the neurological hearing centers that are having this reaction. But listen, take one good thing out of every time you get frustrated, and you'll find it lessening a little bit every time. Maybe smite in the beginning, but again, try to turn anything negative into something positive, and you'll create it. You are a creator being. Espavo.
Very interesting. This next one is from Channeling Light. Hello, friends. I channel ancient Native American Lakota. Though I speak fluently, I do not understand the meanings behind the words energy, vibration, and light. Have you any thoughts, please? Blessings.
Not quite sure what you mean by that, but what we see with this is that there will be focuses in different areas. The Aboriginal tribes of all planet Earth, no matter where they originated from, came in with truths that you have lost. You can bring this back very quickly. Now, what are the languages and the things at which you speak? Well, we give channeling classes, and part of the channeling classes that we have given recently, especially the one we've given in Russia, we give you opportunities to play with something called light language. Light language starts out to be gibberish, just whatever you can bring through to make your voice be heard in some way. You'll find yourself making up words, you'll find yourself making up even singing tones, anything of that nature to express what you're feeling from spirit. It's a perfect way to start. Yours is more of a channel. You have a being on your shoulder of wisdom, great wisdom. It was not only a wisdom seeker on planet Earth, but as his dimensions, as he passed to the other side, and all of his dimensions combined, he became perfect again. And he's now sitting on your shoulder with great wisdom. Try to find the words in different ways, even if you don't understand them. Bring them in, ground them, ground that spirit on those different levels that we speak of, and you will find great wisdom coming through you. Espavo.
Okay, just a couple comments pass on from Marta. She said she remembers that you and Barbara were in Brazil. So she does, even though it was only the one time. And
We will
so
hug you again, my dear.
All right. This one is from Susie Free. Is there any local groups in PNW to gather in person? I guess that maybe
Where,
that's Pacific Northwest.
wherever it is, there is if you create one. We can't tell you that there's large gatherings here, there, so forth. In the keeper's work, he has a large list of people which he can actually see where they are. However, he does not have permission to give those out. So to honor privacy and to honor people's discernment, we cannot do that in those simple ways. There are many places. This is one aspect where social media can hook you up to different aspects. And this is a great opportunity to ask those questions to a larger group of people. And there are places all over the world. There are many people that have called the keeper and done a private session. And they say, we have no one and we come into the keeper and we say, there's 2 people in your backyard. Go knock on their door. And they come back with an answer that they made best friends with their neighbor. They didn't even know thought that way. You have them everywhere. Look for those resonants. Do not look for someone who's thinking exactly like you. Look for people that are open. Look for people and dare to speak your own truth around those people. You'll find it, and you'll either find groups or you'll create a group, both of which will work rather well. Espavo.
All right. So we have another question from Susie. She said she is of retirement age. She fear about how to invest or something, maybe start a small business. Do you have any insight about the economy and what may help some of the people with limited money?
The economies, particularly in the United States, are overdue for a reset. When you evolve very quickly, one of the things that takes place is the systems are some of the densest parts of it. You're talking politics, you're talking money, you're talking your banking systems, you're talking stock markets, a lot of these aspects. They need resetting once in a while. You call it a crash. Yes, it sounds horrible. Yes, it's very exciting to talk about a crash. But you must understand, you've gone through these things over and over again. You always recover. Always. You're humans. You're not going to go down for the count. You're going to rebuild wherever. Now, we also tell you with that, with these evolutions that are going on, the densest part are your systems, even your local governments. They're the hardest part to change, and they change the slowest. And sometimes they actually need a full reset. That is what's directly ahead. What is the potential best for you? Well, we don't play your game, so we can't tell you about the best investments that you can make. We can tell you that when you listen to your heart and balance it with your head, because that is the human aspect. If you just go around going, oh, this feels wonderful, this is the direction I'm going in, and you don't use your head, which you've been given to make the business, to listen to things, to work with it, you're going to head for a fall. If you just think it through and plan everything out, but your heart's really not behind it, it's probably not going to manifest the way you'd hoped. So work with that. Try to balance that as best as possible. Again, we will be coming forward with something called heart discernment that may help in this area. We'll be teaching those classes coming up very soon. Espavo.
Look forward to that. So I have a question from Dan Mack. Hello, Steve and the group. Could you elaborate on sound frequency healing and my connection to it? Would the group please provide guidance for me?
Personally, you have a modality that you developed in a previous lifetime. Now you had some negativity with it. This is true with all relationships, whether they're a relationship to a modality, relationship to a job, relationship to a lover, relationship to your children. You basically don't remember the good parts. You remember how it ended. So lose some of that. Step into it. Can you repeat part of that question for us, please? There's a piece we're missing. We're running out of time here.
Yeah. All right. Sound frequency healing and
what his role
guidance
is.
for him on that.
You are vibration. Everything on your planet that you can perceive is vibrating. If it is not vibrating or vibrating in a frequency that does not exist in your dimension, it's in another dimension. It's still there, but you can't see it, you can't play with it, you can't work with it. Sound frequencies have harmonics that go beyond the capabilities of your ears. Sometimes deaf people can feel music in a way that you can't. So you have lots of opportunities with this. As we've mentioned before, with all the different vibrations or tones, if you will, of your physical body, all of them harmonize to create a signature vibration, which you can call a sound. Play with that. Try to help people find their own signature vibration. You may be a musician. You may end up being like Royal Rife that we spoke of, being able to heal people very magically. You have a modality which will return to you if you step in that direction even further, and we know you already have. Well done. Well done. Espavo.
Okay, how about one more then, Steve? We only have just a couple little ones
Absolutely.
left, I think. All right, so this is from Slavery Shadow. Also, Iraq. If this country became friends to the USA and Israel and Europe, this will be a good country as others like Saudi Arabia and Bahrain in the Arab Gulf. Does that make sense? It's a little, I don't know if I read it quite right.
No problem. What we see is that you have places that are literally being run by belief systems. This has happened globally. You're having daily huge taking to the streets in Iraq. Iran is still getting over the challenge that was caused by the United States. Very clearly, no reason behind it except for the fact that humans always try to balance everything. So when you were attacked, when the United States was attacked at 9/11, it had to pay somebody back. Well, they had nothing to do with it. Didn't make any difference. They paid them back anyway. So there's a lot of scar tissue there that will be with them for a while. Now, what does it take to make them good? They're good. Trust us. They're good. They may not have the connection in the globe in the way you think. And we also tell you one thing that is changing rather rapidly is Israel. Israel itself is in deep trouble. They're not aware of it. They think they have won a war. They think they have changed things. But we tell you, so did Germany when Hitler was there. There's a lot of things that will cause karma going forward in different ways. And please understand, we are not talking about the people. The people are wonderful. The keeper and his wife have been there several times, been welcomed with open arms, incredible people. Huge light workers everywhere. But just like the United States, there are leaders that are leading you in very difficult directions. And just like the United States, we hope you awaken from the dream and take your own power back. Espavo, dear ones, we thank you for your time this day. We give you these oversights as visions. Please do not think that all of these are truths that you must follow perfectly. Take these, add them to yourself. See if they fit. If not, leave them. Don't call them good. Don't call them bad. Just simply say, this fits. This may fit later. We'll see. Enjoy the journey. Know that you are incredible light workers on planet Earth. You have done incredible jobs. And with that, we leave you for now. But we thank you. And we thank you, Debbie. Great job.
Thank you, Steve, for letting the Observer share so many questions and answers with us today.
We will do this again. Espavo, everyone. Thank you for taking your power. We need all of you on planet Earth right now. Great job. With that, we simply ask you to treat each other with respect. Nurture one another at every opportunity and play well together as you play this new game. Espavo, thank you for taking your power.